sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward.
Welcome everybody, and hello.
How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that Monday. It's different, and it's bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes.
And how you reacted to today, I will tell you, it says a lot about you. It says a lot about life in its current form. It says a lot about how you handle all sorts of different things. Some of us are dealing with some things that can be frustrating. And, kind of sitting and waiting for certain things to happen, certain things that are outside of our control, and now replanning and rescheduling travel and connecting with other, sometimes we deal with frustration. Sometimes maybe it's work, maybe it's family, maybe you woke up today and you were excited and you were saying, you know what, this is a new week. I am on a new journey. I'm going to make this week fantastic. It all starts today. I'm going to go out and I'm going to accomplish some things. And some of you guys woke up and went, crap, it's Monday. So it really depends on how you want to approach life. So Sonia, first time on, and Elizabeth and a couple of others on first time. I really appreciate you guys being here. Welcome. Everybody says welcome to you. Great group here. Some of them have been on for a few days, some a few weeks, some have been on for over a year. This is a pretty cool group here. But guys, how'd you treat today? Now, how you treat today says a lot about how you treat things in life and how you're looking at life. How often are you looking back and going, oh, it's just another Monday. Mondays are typically frustrating for me. Oh, they're always busy. Oh, Mondays are never good. I can't tell you how many times when I'm working, in consulting and I'm working with a business owner and we're trying to set up an appointment and they go, Mondays are just never a good day. And what they mean to say is typically Monday is a day full of all sorts of different developments for my business, and I have meetings. And so it's pretty packed. And so, Tuesday or Wednesday would be a great day to connect, to talk about future endeavors. That's how they should say it. But in fact, what they say is Monday's never a good day. Monday's always difficult for me. They don't even recognize it. How many of you guys do the same thing? Honestly. How many of you guys do that with a new venture? How many of you guys do it with any new, working out when I first start my physical routine, it's always the most difficult, those first, that first week, the first 2 weeks, or I'm good the first couple of days, but once I get past that, man, it's a little bit of frustration. How do you treat your days? So today is Monday. Hopefully you woke up and said, this is going to be a fantastic week. Things are going to go my way. Hopefully you started off with some affirmations and some prayer and meditation and whatever the hell else you enjoy using to get the universe on your side. And you're taking actions to suit it. Now, what I want you to do is kind of take a look at, instead of the negative things, I want everybody to take a minute to look back on their life and pinpoint something that went well, something you accomplished, something that you did. Now, if you want to go a deep dive on this topic, go to the YouTube channel, go to the link. I've done trainings on what I call your Phoenix moment. And what that is about finding one of those moments where you legitimately rose from the ashes, you burned with success. It was a fantastic moment. So identifying that and utilizing that in future endeavors. So I want you to think about a time when maybe it didn't work real well at the very beginning, but you became good. You accomplished something through your work, through your perseverance, through your efforts, you accomplished something. So I gave a brief example the other day about baseball, starting things off and how for, the first year I sucked. I wasn't good. And so I ended up practicing a lot and put in a lot of hours and then ended up becoming much, much better and, played travel ball and all-stars and all that kind of stuff and got to the point where it worked. Right. And I was good in it. And there are feelings of accomplishment in those, I can look back at very specific moments and now even, 20, 30 years ago that went well. And I can remember those. I can think about track. I can think about the very first time that I ever ran a 400 meter. Anybody else run track or did something athletic like that? The very first time that you went out and did it and it just didn't go the way that you thought it would. The first time that I ran a 400 meter relay, so the 4x4 400 meter relay in an actual meet, because when the rubber meets the road, when it's the time, competition is real, it's a little bit different than practice, right? So the very first time we ran a 4x4, I was the anchor leg at my very first track meet. And really is because by the end of the year, the guys that were going to be running the 4x4 with me, they hadn't even done it yet because in their minds, they're like, the 4x4 sucks. I don't want to do it. I didn't know any better. And so the very first time we went out and ran it, I was a senior, and the 3 guys that ran it with me were all freshmen. And so some freshmen are great, right? And these guys were they were good individuals, but they were young and hadn't quite developed into what their potential would yet be, right? Let's say it like that. They were in 9th grade, right? 3 years when you're in high school is a lot. There's a big difference between freshmen and seniors. So they're running, and by the time that it comes around, the baton comes around to me, we are in last place by 75 meters, by a lot. Like, we're just getting smoked. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I got it. I got the baton, and I took off after these guys. Has anyone run a 400? I know some of you guys said you ran track. Has anyone run a 400? Cindy. Okay. 400, if you guys ever watch the race, the 400 is this weird distance where it's a all-out sprint, but it's not. It's not the guys running the 100, but it's not the 800 or the mile where there's still a little strategy, but you got to go. Well, I didn't understand that yet, and so my strategy was go. And so I ran. And my body decided that at about 380 meters that it wasn't going to run anymore. And like, I had caught the guy, I had caught up. So like, we weren't going to be last. I was passing the guy. I knew when we weren't winning. We had, like, that was, the winners were already sitting around having, they were cheering themselves on, having Gatorade. I'm still coming around, but man, I caught that guy. We were there. But at 380 meters, my body's like, Andrew, you're done, son. Take a seat, little man. And I very nearly did. I lost control of my limbs in a way where my brain kind of, like, the wiring stopped. And my arms and legs started flapping around. I don't know if any of you guys are super active on social media right now. There's a trend going around, and I realize part of it's because of the trial that's going on. But a lot of people are doing imitations of Captain Jack Sparrow's run. You guys know who Captain Jack Sparrow is from Pirates of the Caribbean? Pirates of the Caribbean, depending on where you're at in the world, how you want to say it. Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, has a very unique, flamboyant, weird kind of run. Go watch it. It's pretty funny. If you just want a silly laugh at people running silly. That was me. My arms were flapping around. My legs were flapping around, and I was just about to face plant. I caught myself with one hand, stood up, shook it off, and finished the race. That was my first 4x400 meter race ever in a competition. Now, we got last. We didn't get first. It was a humbling experience, to say the least. I did learn that there was supposed to be a little bit of strategy, and I had a long way to go before I was really going to be at the physical level to be able to compete with some of those guys. And so we went out and we worked a lot. And then throughout that season, at the end of the year, we ran in the state track meet. We were in the finals of the state track meet. We won our region. I had many, many opportunities to pass people. But by the end of the year, I wasn't the anchor leg. We had guys that were faster than me that were phenomenal. But I still got to be a part of that team. And there are moments that I can now look back at and go, you know what, because I worked hard, because I didn't decide, hey, that just didn't work out. This isn't for me. Well, here I go. And look, you talk about, I know some of you guys are scared to be on video, be on camera, to post things because you're worried about what other people will think. Think about some of the moments that you've had that have been a little bit embarrassing at the beginning of whatever thing you've had in life, but you've been able to turn it around because you went through the work and you got to where you needed to be. So all of this is to hopefully give you time where you could have identified something you started out you weren't very good at, to at the very end of the year, end of whatever time frame, you became, through hard work and diligent effort and perseverance, and some people telling you, hey, you should slow down, and you yourself saying, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but you pushed through anyway, and you got to where you wanted to be, to where you succeeded. Does everybody have one of those moments? Hopefully, right now. Okay. Sonia's saying women's volleyball championship. That's fantastic. It would be inspiring to see Andrew on the beach doing the Captain Jack run through the surf. Next time I'm on the beach, you've got it. I'll do it. I got no issue. I have at this point, ladies and gentlemen, some of you guys know I will do whatever I can to bring entertainment and value to you. And if me looking like a fool is helpful, then by all means, I will deliver. So now the key would be if I can find a pirate hat and some kind of other thing to go along with it, a pirate hat, the billowy shirt, and my blue and pink flamingo shorts. That's how we're going to do it. So I'm just throwing this out there. So 7th grade, only person in the school who achieved an A+++ in the entire school for athletics. There you go. Yeah, what other people think actually doesn't matter. It's really what you think. But here's the issue. A lot of times we have our Mondays. Sometimes our Mondays are in the middle of the week. Sometimes our frustrations happen at any other day. And we look and we go, oh, Mondays are always like that, or starting this is always like that. And we forget some of those moments where we overcame. We forget about the good things. Here's where the balance is, though. You don't want to live in the past, holding on to those things as the only success, the only things that you accomplished, right? You don't want to be the guy that's in his mid-20s going back to high school with his Letterman's jacket trying to look cool. That's not what we're trying to do here. But you do want to recognize that you have won in the past, that you have overcome, that you have achieved, and that in doing so, you can do it again. Every single one of you has overcome something. For crying out loud, for the last 2.5, 3 years, we have all been dealing with, all over the world, the pandemic, being shut down, the mind games that we had to deal with in home for having to deal with that, the mind games that the media put us through, doesn't matter what side of this political spectrum you're on, the mind games that they continue to put us through, the diversionary tactics of like, hey, I know we told you to do this and that didn't work, so now we're going to talk about this thing over here so you can pay attention to something else. Meanwhile, you're trying to figure out your life, and yet you're here, and you're awake, and there's a good chance that you took a shower today or last night, or at least in the last 24 hours. You brushed your teeth, right? You're doing the things that keep you moving forward. Guys, look back at the things that you've accomplished and recognize that you've already done it, and now it's time to do it again. And again, and again, and again. Now, I want to insert a little caveat here that goes along with the derive power from your past accomplishments, but don't wallow in them. I talked about last week, I talked about the book Discipline Equals Freedom from Jocko Willink. It's a great book. It's not it looks thick, it looks big, but most of the pages are like this. Like it's like his thoughts and some stories. And so one of the things that I read this morning was where he talks about, PT log or log PT is physical training when they use logs. So Jocko Willink, for those of you that missed it, was an individual who was in the Navy SEALs and then became a Navy SEAL trainer. And some of the examples that he gives, like he's amazing dude, go watch some of his stuff. But he's very much like, if you follow him on social media, most of his posts are a picture of him and his watch waking up at 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and doing his workout, kind of checking in, showing you that he's doing it. So he's talking about when they train as Navy SEALs, they talk about log PT. And what it is physical training with a log, with a big ass log that is, uncomfortable. It is bulky. It's difficult to move around. And they're working as a team doing, lifting the log, doing sit-ups with the log, running with the log, doing everything together with the log. And so what happens is the instructor will say, okay, you've got 100 reps to do of whatever exercise or whatever movement with the log. But occasionally, if something gets messed up, they go, you're at 0. So it doesn't matter if you've done 5 and you have to start over, or you've done 95 out of 100, you have to start over. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you just have to start over. Sometimes we're just at 0. That breaks some people. Sometimes it breaks people permanently. You cannot let that happen. Every single Monday, let it be you starting at 0, knowing that you can accomplish it no matter what. Knowing if you have to start over at some point, you can still accomplish it. Knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you can accomplish it because at some point you've done it in the past. Don't stand in front of everybody and say, look at all the cool things that I've done in the past. I'm still doing this and I'm still moving forward and I can accomplish because I will accomplish. Because sometimes you have to start at zero. Utilize those things as fuel and fire to keep you lifting up, to keep you rising from the ashes. Okay? But recognize that that power is always within you and that you can go out and be fantastic. You can be the phoenixes that I know you are. And as always, rise from the ashes, fly like the phoenixes, and go out and kick some ass. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up. We'll do a little Q&A, and I'll read some comments in here. So if you guys want to hang out, if you got questions to ask, because I know we got a bunch of new people. So if you've got questions, by all means, now is a good time. Either raise your hand or drop it into the chat, and we can hit on things. So let's see. We had a late great stepfather always has a saying, what you think of me is none of my business. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because most people don't understand who you are truly. They don't understand what you're going through right now. They don't understand what's going on. And most people will only ever judge you based off of, some past interaction. And look, I'm not the person I was 2 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. Right? 6 months, a year. I'm progressing. My relationships, I've got different relationships now. I've mentioned this before, but business relationship guys are so important. I pay attention to those, but I'm constantly looking at the next person that's going to help me level up and who I can help do the same thing. That's always a pursuit. So yeah, don't worry as much about what other people think. I've been reading Life Force. Has anyone finished yet? Any aha moments? Life Force, Janine is talking about it. This is a new book by Tony Robbins and other authors. Absolutely fantastic. Janine, honestly, there's too many aha moments for me. There's so much in there that it's going to be one of those that I'm going to have to go back and continue to read over and over. There's certain elements that I feel like may not be right for me right now and others that are. And I want to, like, when you guys read, I don't know how you guys read. I don't always read cover to cover every single book, right? I go into any book that I read, I go into it with the knowledge that I've got something that I need, that my mind, my psyche, my life needs now. And I'm looking for answers and training and something that I can learn and implement or whatever, right? Sometimes I find that sometimes I bounce around. If I don't connect with a book, I don't force myself to keep reading it. Like, I'll set it aside. An interesting example of that was The Big Leap. A lot of you guys know it's one of my favorite books. It's on the book list. I've recommended it. We've had Gay Hendricks on here. The very first time I read it, it took me months because I would read it and I would reread sections over and over and over. And I would sit down and I would do self-evaluations that were painful, but that's what helped me break through. So, just read. So I'd read it like a textbook. It's pretty dry. Take notes as your bookmark. Yeah. Read what you need to read it how you need to read it. Get out anything that you read, anything that you study. If you go to a mastermind, if you're listening to some kind of training, go in with the intent of pulling out a handful of nuggets, right? Joe Polish, who's a kind of a mentor, a guy that I've followed for years, guy got me started in this whole entrepreneur marketing journey, would always say, look for your ELF ideas, the easy, lucrative, and fun ideas, those $10,000 nuggets. Like, what is something I can pull out of this that's going to help things become more easy, more lucrative, or more fun for me? Okay, so, Big Leap, outstanding. Yep, Big Leap, read it twice. There you go. So some of you guys that are new, that's a book that'll be referenced from time to time, just FYI. Okay, we have any questions, any comments? I should have Blake on sometime this week. I will let you guys know the exact date. And then as soon as I've got updates on travel, I will let you guys know. Everything's just having to be rescheduled for me. Some of you guys that are brand new, you'll end up hearing at some point. I was supposed to be traveling right now. I was not supposed to be in the U.S. And positive tests on COVID and other stuff has just gotten in the way. So we're moving things around. So anyway, go out and be awesome. Make some things happen. Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it. And we will talk just go forward. But so what do you need to do? How do you stand out?
Hi, everyone.
What you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you